I'd like to call to order the January 27th, 2026 public hearing for the City of Tampa's Barrio Latino Commission. Welcome, everyone. I'm Rich Simmons, Chair of the Commission. If you are here to present a project, you will have limited time to make your presentation, so we suggest being thorough but concise. When coming to the microphone, you will need to identify yourself and your relationship to the project. The commissioners will not ask any questions during your presentation. Your project should be presented in the following order: site plan, elevations, architectural details, wall sections. Staff presents staff report. We will then ask for public comment. Please state and spell your name clearly if you're here to speak for or against the project. Your time will be limited to 3 minutes, so take some time now to organize your thoughts. Following public comment, the commissioners will be asking questions in the same order as the presentation. Next, the applicant will have 5 minutes for rebuttal. The public hearing will then be closed. After the public hearing is closed, no further testimony can be given. The commissioners will then discuss the case based on Chapter 27 of the City Code of Ordinances, the design guidelines, the Secretary of Interior standards, Historic Preservation Development Review Committee comments, and the testimony given today at this public hearing. The BLC can only act on items that are within our specific jurisdictional responsibility. Owner agents are independently responsible to obtain any appropriate permits and/or approvals. If you haven't already done so, please silence your cell phones. We'll start with the introduction of the other commissioners, starting on my left.
Good morning, Chase Corley.
Good morning, Vivian Salaga.
Morning, Richard Cahill.
Good morning, Susan Claus-Smith.
And from staff today, we have Ron Vila, Jared Barnum, Heather Bonds, and Dana Crosby-Collier from legal. We have the minutes from the December 16th, 2025 meeting in our packet. Has everyone had a chance to review? Could we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor of said motion, say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Vila with announcements, please.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Ron Vila. I'm a planner with Historic Preservation, and welcome. Under announcements, we have our staff approvals that I'd like to submit into the record. We could receive and file this at the end of the meeting. Also, we have our publication, our Tampa Bricks and Mortar. It's featuring an adaptive reuse for a service station. And along with that, we have our preservation in progress. At this time, I'd like to go through, and it also is featuring of the service station as well, to give you a little bit more background. So this is our January 2026 preservation in progress. It's featuring a former service station at 2101 North 22nd Street, which is currently underwent an adaptive reuse rehabilitation project to accommodate a law office. Here is showing that the building was constructed in 1938. Once again, it's at 2101 North 22nd Street. It's at the corner of 22nd and 10th Avenue in Ybor City. The design of the building is a typical Sinclair service station building that was built throughout the United States. Here you see on the Sanborn map, the location, you see the footprint of the building. That is currently the footprint that's there now, and then you see an aerial there. This was from the first Sanborn that we have, and this dates back to 1951. As I stated, very little modifications to the original footprint. Here we have a picture from the Robinson and Fresh. Dates back to 1947. The owners acquired the land. That was Frank Canella, and they used the contracting firm Sakasi and Chilora at the time. Here you see the multiple tenants that were in there. You have a liquor store, you have the service station, and then you have the hardware store. This is prior to the adaptive reuse coming forward. You see the building, how it was closed up and there were no penetrations at the time. And then down here, you see it opened up. The storefronts still has the service bay coming in. This is a vernacular that no longer is represented anywhere. This was a true service station. You would come in, it'd be your neighborhood gas station. You would have a relationship with the gentleman coming in, and he'd be part of the family as well. And just to conclude, this is just a larger shot. Some of the work that has transpired, opening up the bays that were existing. You can see the scarring that was left behind, leaving that ceremonial interest for the vehicles to come in, the clear barrel tile, and then the stucco that surrounds the building itself. And then you see the step parapet at certain locations. All of that was sensitively retained by this current owner. They talked about expanding, possibly, but right now it's been a success. Heather and myself had the opportunity to tour the building, and the inside reads just as the outside does. That concludes the preservation in progress.
Good morning, Commissioners. Dana Crosby Collier from the Legal Department. I'd like to ask if any member has a conflict of interest with any item on the agenda this morning.
I have none.
Thank you. And has any member engaged in an ex parte communication regarding any item on the agenda?
I have none.
Thank you.
So Commissioners, we have, the first four cases are very similar. They came in together. We've been working with Habitat for Humanity for a while to get this project in front of you this morning. If you look at our agenda, and I wanted to share this with you, I spoke to the applicant. And as I go through the photo presentation, there's four different parcels there. There's 2606, 2608, 2610, and 2612. He's going to do his presentation from left to right, which is from west to east. If you look at the agenda, if we could take this item first, which is 2606, then we'll jump and we'll go back to regular order to 2608, 2610, and 2612. So the first one we're going to talk about is BLC 26-42. If that's acceptable, changing the order. Go ahead, Dana. Okay. That we're going to move forward with that. Before we get started, we need to do the swear-in. Jared?
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony being provided today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
You may be seated.
So as I stated, do we need to do a motion to adjust the agenda?
Yes, a motion to approve the adjustments to the agenda, please.
Move to approve adjustments to the agenda as presented.
Second.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank
Motion
you.
carries.
Thank you, Commissioners. So the first one we're going to review this morning is BLC-26-000042. This is for the address of 2606 East 10th Avenue. Currently, it's a vacant parcel. The underlying zoning is YC2. They're coming forward for residential use and for a certificate of appropriateness for a duplex for new construction with site improvements. Focusing on the Sanborn map, the red area perimeter is the local historic district. I'd like to zoom in here just so you kind of get an understanding. This is taken in 1929. You see the density that's here, and then you see where the subject site is on the corner of 10th Avenue and 26th Street. There's a lot of vacant land there. So there's a lot of opportunity for the development back in 1929, and there's still the opportunity that exists today. Looking at our current vicinity map, as I stated, it's just to the east of 26th Street, which runs north and south. 10th Avenue runs east and west. This is the subject site. As I showed on the Sanborn map, there was opportunity back in 1929. This was an affordable housing project that was undertaken by the administration back in 2000 You'll see some houses here that are non-contributing, and circling around the subject site, a bunch of non-contributing houses as well. So there's a lot of influx to that area over the years. This is the site. It's behind this silk fence. Behind there was some mitigation that was needed. As it went through the process, city had some concerns. They had to do some mitigation. This board does not have to take any action on that. I just wanted to bring it to your attention. As you look at some of the surrounding properties, this is a non-contributing to the west. Then you have the subject site in the middle, and then a non-contributing structure to the east. Looking down the block, this is 10th Avenue looking back towards 26th Street. And 10th Avenue looking to the east. Directly across the street, there's a series, and if you looked at the aerial that I provided, you see that the footprint of the houses were very minimal at the time, and there's just a series of these one-story houses that were developed in 2000, 2005 by the prior administration. And this is the last photo I have to kind of conclude. That's the surrounding area that we have there today. So at this time, I'd like to introduce the agent to come forward and do the presentation for 2606 East 10th Avenue, the one on the western portion of the parcel.
Good morning. My name is John Wheaton. I'm Senior Vice President of Construction and Housing Development for Habitat for Humanity. Had a bunch of notes. I'm going to abandon a lot of those because Mr. Vila just covered quite a bit of it. So this is my first hearing like this, so if I give too much or not enough information, please let me know. But as Mr. Vila said, we propose townhome units on this property. A little bit about Habitat. We obviously provide community service of affordable housing. These would be, on this property, there would be 4 duplexes. I'll go over 2606 first. A little bit about the experience with Habitat for Humanity and how we provide the affordable housing. During the process, the homeowners are required to do 300 hours of sweat equity on the home. And so throughout the process, that's where we differ from a lot of builders. They kind of get an experience along the way, and so they're heavily involved. And then, of course, we have donors and volunteers that come out and help as well. At the end, we have a dedication ceremony. People are allowed to come. If you haven't seen one, I would recommend seeing one. It's really kind of a beautiful thing. A lot of times, a lot of tears of joy are shed, that kind of thing. So it's a beautiful thing. So I'll present 2606 first. I just want to put this on the screen so you can see kind of the footprint. So, and then I'll show you a site plan. So you can see we have, oh, thank you. So in keeping with some of the requirements for the barrios, we have the ribbon driveways along the left. So ribbon driveway and then a concrete parking pad on the left. What's unique about these is it'll be a side entry. We do have a front door as well, but these will be side entry. So there's a side door, which you'll see on the elevations. So you'll park on the side and then main entry on the side. Being that there's no garages, you'll see there's a shed in the back. We want to provide storage for the homeowner. So they'll have storm shutters and then, of course, some of their yard tools. So we'll provide a shed for them as well. Apron flares out front to meet those requirements. I'll show you the actual site plan now. So I have 2 site plans for each building. One shows each unit. So this is the eastern unit. The western unit will be right here, which I can show you as well. So here's the site plan for the western unit. There you go. So Mr. Veal has met with us several times, which we appreciate. It's been really helpful, helping us meet the requirements of appearance for the barrio, requirements. So here's the elevation of this particular building. James Hardy, I'm trying to zoom out so you can see the colors as well. There you go. So James Hardy was kind enough. They recently stepped in and said that they would like to help with the affordable housing in the area. So they're donating material on a project we're working on now, and they've expressed interest in donating material for this project as well, possibly labor as well. So the siding that you see is James Hardy material. I brought some samples. This is what you see on the front gable. You might call it fish scale, might call it shake siding. So the gable is the shake siding, and then the regular siding on the rest of the home is lap siding, which I have a sample of that as well if you'd like to see. 6-inch, I believe it's 6-inch trim board on the edges and around the windows. And then we have varying elevations so that we don't have 4 identical buildings. We have 2 different elevations. So for lack of a better term, it would be basically A, B, A, B. So these have the tapered columns and the brick piers. And then you see the colors that we would go with on this building. Dove gray for the body, white trim, which would include the handrails, and then, of course, the red brick.
Slide the image down so we can see the colors.
Oh, yes, sir, I'm sorry.
Elevation.
How's that? Is that better?
No, sir. I think they're above the elevation.
Yes.
No, no.
Yes, sir. Oh, it's just the words. Yes, sir.
No colors?
Oh, no, sir. I have pictures of kind of what the inspiration would be. Not this particular house, but it shows the colors. Matter of fact, I can put that on there now if you'd like to see it. Oh, no, that's okay. So this is general thought of what those colors would represent. We put the names of the colors on there so that you could get an accurate representation, because this is obviously coming off a printer. So, but it would be basically this: the dove gray with the white trim, and then, of course, instead of the stone on this one, we have the red brick on the piers. I'm sorry, I'm looking for the side elevation. I thought I had it on this sheet. There we go. All right, so here are the other elevations. So the left elevation, this is where the driveway would be on this one. And so you'll see the main entrance there on the left-hand side. And then if you notice on the front porch, we did have a separation wall there. Mr. Vila, like I said, he's met with us several times, been very, very helpful. That was one of the things we removed, so we have more of a communal porch on the front. So it'll be a communal porch on the front, shared by both units, main side entry, and then the rear elevation here. And then these are not on piers, this would be stem wall and slab. And so what you see between the piers would be a stucco finish over the CMU block, so that we don't have exposed block. And then the right elevation here, and you see on the elevation we tried to show that we would have exposed rafter tails. And the window trim specific to the sizes that fit the Barrio requirements. Elevation, multiple wall sections, let me see. We also brought sheets to show door sections, door samples, windows as well. We have the 3/1 on a couple elevations, and then just plain windows on others. And then a pier section as well. And so this is with the brick pier and the tapered column. And a sample of our door hardware. And then also, we just tried to give you a detail on how the front handrail would look. So it'd be 2x2 wood pickets, 4.5 inch on center, painted white. And I showed you the colors. Let me see, I think I need to show. I believe this one is the one that shows the wall section. And this wall section will be typical for all the units on all the lots. So you see it would be block on block. Originally, this was, I don't want to say drawn, but it was theorized to be wood frame, but we wanted to switch it to block. Wood frame is obviously just as, mostly as strong as block in terms of storm requirements, but we wanted to go block on block for long-term, for weather and for termites and things like that. Being that we're affordable housing, we try to think ahead for our homeowners as much as we can, to have as little maintenance for them to do as we can. It's another reason we wanted to use the James Hardy siding, because once it's up, I mean, it lasts forever, and it's almost a no-maintenance product. To my knowledge, that's everything that I needed to present on this building. Am I missing anything, or did that cover it all?
Yeah, I'll summarize it.
Okay, thank you. You want me to leave any particular slide up invisible? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, thank you.
So John stated that concluded his presentation. I'd like to go through the staff report at this time. The staff's finding that this application is consistent with the Ybor City Design Guidelines. We reviewed the plans on January 7th, 2026 that were uploaded into Acela. The agent gave you an overview. He talked about, you know, the rhythm of the houses. There's 4 houses here. We need to focus on this one particular house at 2606 East 10th Avenue. And this is BLC 26-00000042. Having stated that, there's some particulars with this house that don't transpire to the other one, so let's stay focused on this. Through our review process, we looked at the site plan, and there was a couple of inconsistencies. So I think they've modified the plans, but he needs to go back to the site plan and zero in on showing the sidewalk at the property line. The sidewalk was not delineated properly on the initial site plan, so we'll see what is illustrated this morning. And that the sidewalk needs to go through the driveway. In this urban environment, in all our historic districts, the sidewalk is very important. That linear connection should be important and should not be broken up by the driveway coming in. So that needs to be shown on the site plan as well. When this project first came in, there was no shed or accessory structure attached to it. It was not advertised with an accessory structure. So as he goes through the process, he shows the location of the shed / accessory structure. It's 10 by 8, it's 80 square feet. That's something that you could delegate to staff if this project is moving forward. The hardscape, he showed the long-term plan for all 4 of them, but he needs to call out where the concrete is, scored properly, and then what material the parking pad is. The foundation enclosure was raw CMU at one time. He showed this morning that it is covered with a stucco, so that's appropriate with the piers that will be proud of the enclosure of the foundation. The barge rafter is typically a little bit larger than the exposed internal rafter tails. We had asked them to put 2 by 8 barge rafters on the front and the back, and the intermediate rafter tails would be 2 by 6. The window sample, he showed a 3/1, which is acceptable for this craftsman style home, but it should have, he should be able to call out the material, if it's a wood window, if it's a cladded window, or what is he presenting this morning. Final concerns that I have this morning is that the hardy should be a smooth. The lap siding is always a smooth. I think this is a rough. And then the final color selection should be delegated to staff as well. And we have a color palette internal. That concludes my staff report, and I'll be here to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Vila. Is anyone here from the public wishing to comment on this case? Please identify yourself.
Yes, I have a question.
Come to the mic, and I think we had 2 applicants come in that weren't sworn. If they'd like to be sworn, if they're planning to speak.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony being provided today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. So I'm a resident.
Let's swear him in as well.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony being provided today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Okay. So my name is Toriano Boynton. I'm a resident. I own a home at 2616 East 10th Avenue. So it's 1 lot over from these 4 proposed lots. I'm not sure if this is the right forum, but I have some concerns about, I'd like to see information on any environmental studies that have been done. There were two big giant holes that were dug on this site, and I have some drone footage of it as well. I talked to some of the construction workers. I asked them why they're digging so deep on these 4 lots, and they told me that there was some contamination. I've seen nothing about contamination on this site, any disclosure on that. So that's my question. What are the results of the environmental studies, soil studies, and what's beneath those holes? Why were those holes being dug, and what was found?
We appreciate your comments. That is a public comment. I don't have a response for you. I would tell you, to advise you to get with city staff. Maybe Ron can point you in the right direction to help with that, but I'm sure it's all properly documented, and that's kind of standard for remediation of soil when they dig everything up and probably bring in new soil and stuff, so.
All right, so the builder has no response on that then?
Let me interject.
Sure.
So I have been in prior discussions. Natural Resources went out there and had some discussion with the people that were out there digging. I don't know exactly what are the nuances of moving forward, but I'll give this gentleman my business card and I'll put him with the right person.
Good morning. I'm Dil Abraham. I own a piece of land facing 2607, and it's backing on to the property that are going to be developing there. I own this property over 10 years, this land, and I didn't build because there is not a flood zone, but the vacant property, there were lots of water, and if there's 4 inches of rain, there would be 6 inches of water on my property. And I don't think this water was coming from the rain, because sometimes there's no rain and there's a ditch there and it's filled with water. And I'm concerned about the drainage, irrigation, well, not so much irrigation, but drainage, because in my opinion, the water is not draining. It's all coming right there, just behind my lot, which now it can come as much as 4 feet water at the back there. And, it's dangerous because people venture on the lot, so I have to keep putting signs which they tear down and they go back again because they're using it for loitering. But main concern is safety and the drainage. And that's about my concern. I would build, but only when I'm sure that I will be able to occupy the property safely and comfortable. Thank you.
Thank you.
So one of the agents at this time wishes to address the board on both of these concerns here. Okay?
Good morning. My name's Lynette Glass. I'm with Habitat for Humanity. So I wanted to kind of explain what's going on. You probably saw the pictures in the staff report, so you're probably also wondering what's going on. So when we purchased the property a couple years ago, we had learned that we do have environmental reports. We learned that there was soil contamination from a city pump house that was on the property back, 60, 70 years ago. We had assumed it was for heating oil because the soil contamination was oil, but it turns out as we were doing the soil removal to replace the soil on the site, the driller hit they hit a cap on a well. So it turns out that pump house was for an artesian well. That well might be one reason why there seems to be a lot of water on the site. Maybe it was not capped properly, so it was always kind of a wet site. We have capped that well now. We have also removed the soil on the site. We have environmental reports we would be glad to share. I can share my name and phone number with the gentleman that spoke, that came up and asked about environmental reports. But we have removed the soil. It's been there, I think, for decades and decades, and we are replenishing it with new soil. And we are working with the City Natural Resources Department to make sure that we are accommodating all the regulations around the tree removal that had to happen during this, as well as making sure that we are bringing that site up to the level so that we aren't going to impact drainage. We do have an engineer that's providing a drainage plan, and we are planning on adding bubblers to the site and making sure that we're pulling water away to the street where we do have drainage inlets. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else here wish to comment in public? We're gonna close that, and we'll have the commissioners ask questions of the applicant based on your proposals. Let's go first.
Could you put back up the site plan?
Yes, sir.
Zoom out, right? It's kind of hard to read.
Okay.
The site plan, does it show the sidewalk across the front?
Yes, sir. And if you, it's hard for me to see, so I'm gonna try to point it out on the screen here. This shows concrete here, and we changed to have the sidewalk going continuously through the driveway. So that will be continuous through the driveway, and then the expansion joints cut as a sidewalk instead of a driveway. Then the aprons will come off of that, so we will have a continuous sidewalk.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
In the, I have a question, and in the list of information that the staff had asked you to provide was lighting. And I didn't, if there is exterior lighting on the building, could you show where that is and what it is?
Yes, ma'am. It's the reason it doesn't show up on here. We're gonna have recessed lighting, like out on the porch. So that's the reason it doesn't show up on these elevations, because there'll be recessed lighting in the ceiling.
Okay. All right, that was my only question. The other ones were all answered.
I'll follow up with that question. There
Yes,
is
ma'am.
no other lighting proposed for the exterior, nothing at the sides where the rear entry is?
No, ma'am. We would probably have to have an egress light. Let me see. Let me look at the. Yeah, because that's because the right here, it's kind of an inset front door, so that'll be recessed lighting as
Oh,
well.
okay.
So that, yes, ma'am. So that'll provide your egress light.
Is that site plan the only plan you have of the proposed unit, or is there actually a floor plan that shows it better? Because it's so tiny to see
I
that,
can show you
unless you
floor
can
plans, yes,
enlarge the
Let
site
me
plan.
get off the electrical plan here because that's busy. Let me see if I have just a floor plan here. I brought a pretty minimal set today because I didn't want to take up time that I wasn't allotted, but let me see what I have. I have this for you. So here's the main floor.
Let me zoom out just a little bit.
Oops, zoom out for you.
So, both units, obviously, it's just a mirror.
Yes, ma'am.
So both units have recessed side entry, both will have recessed lighting.
Yes, ma'am.
And then just on the porch. And there's no ceiling fans, right? No proposed ceiling fans for the porch.
No, ma'am.
Okay. I actually want to go through the laundry list just to make sure we capture everything that staff
Okay.
requested, and then I'll turn it over
Okay.
to others. There was a question about providing a dimension for the setback for the shed. I assume, staff, that means setback from the property line? Or are we talking about setback from the primary structure?
For both. There's a code requirement that it sits back 3 foot from the body of the building to the property line. The overhangs can be 1 foot. This is 80 square foot structure, so a 1 foot overhang would be acceptable. And then there's an eave-to-eave separation from the primary structure to the detached structure. So that has to be 5 foot, and that should be indicated on the plans.
Okay.
That if it's delegated to me, I will make sure that it meets code requirements.
Can we look at your site plan again then, sir? I'm sorry.
ma'am. And it's on there. It's a question if I can zoom it
Can
in.
you
good
zoom in
to
enough?
show you.
Right.
Let's see. So, without getting my finger in the way, do you see this? So this
I
is.
do.
Yes, ma'am. So, And then the setback from the property line is on there as well. It's hard for me to see. But this setback is called out here, and then it's called out back here as well. I just can't quite see it enough to point it out to you, but it is on there.
I do have a question for yourself, sir, and/or staff, because staff's been working with you from the beginning. Why are the sheds placed so close to the primary structure and not pushed further to the rear of the property? Traditionally, that would have been, accessory structures were pushed to the rear of the property.
Yeah.
It limits, in my opinion, it limits the future use of the lot for the owners.
I understand. I don't know of any specific reason, right? We could push that back. I don't think there would be a problem with that at all. That's just, we just use the setback between building and shed
Yeah.
to use for placement, but I don't believe there's any other reason for it. We could push that back.
Well, if there's no other restriction, I know there's stuff going on with the water, and I still don't quite understand what's going on. And if there are restrictions there, obviously that overrides. But if there's a possibility of resetting those, and
Yes,
that's
ma'am.
probably going to be consistent along all four
Yes, ma'am.
properties, I would recommend that.
I don't think
we
there'd be a problem with
reconsider.
that. The water, that's gonna be taken care of with our drainage plan that our site engineer is working on.
You don't have that draft yet ready for prime time?
Not for this presentation, no, ma'am.
Okay, all right. And then there was a question from staff, or a note from staff to provide or show historically correct scoring on the hardscape. Do you have a hardscape plan ready?
We just brought minimal, sheet down here. We just had the sheet where it shows the ribbon driveway and the concrete parking pad. It does call it out on there. It's a concrete parking pad. The sheet's not on here now. See if I can find it for you. It's also called out on here. I just was trying to find the other sheet so I could give you a clearer picture, but this is the ribbon driveways, and then it does call out right here, concrete parking pad.
But nothing about the scoring. So we'll have to note that in our
Okay.
motion as it moves forward.
Right, we want to show that specifically there. Yeah. Yeah, that would just be, with the sidewalk going through it, it would just be the typical, expansion joints scored into the sidewalk.
Right, and there are some historically, when we talk about historic scoring, staff will work with you on
Okay,
that,
okay.
yeah. About the barge rafter dimensions and the rafter dimensions, can we look at your wall section?
Yes, ma'am.
So do you note it says see details,
Yes,
do you
ma'am.
have a detail somewhere?
Let me see if I can.
The barge would probably show in the elevation as opposed to the section.
I know, but I still want to confirm the rafter sizes.
There you go. So it calls out 2x6 exposed rafter tail.
Okay.
That would probably have to be adjusted to 2x8, you said, right?
No, that's
Just the end, okay.
that's good. Now we
Okay.
need to talk about the barge rafter, which it should be shown in your elevation.
Let's see.
Or right there, even on the, yeah. So does it call it out?
I don't know if it does on.
No, it doesn't. We'll just need to make sure that gets called out.
Okay. Taper column detail. Yeah, I don't think it does. I'm looking for it. I don't think it calls it out specifically.
Okay.
Do have a decorative bracket detail for you though for these,
Yep.
if it matters for you. That's decorative bracket detail there.
Okay, and what's the sizes on there? It's kind of hard to read because it's kind of flickering on my
agree.
screen. It's flickering on our screens.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's
It's not your problem. It's technology.
it's 1'6" tall, 4 inches wide.
Okay, all right. Can you go back to just pull the paper down a little bit? There's another detail at the top.
This one here, the
Well,
exposed
we
rafter tail.
have the rafter tail. And then, the porch, the one that goes through the column. Can we look at that one at the porch? Yeah.
This?
Yep,
Okay.
tapered column detail. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yes, ma'am. So this is one of the differences on the elevations. So this one, two of them will have tapered column with the brick piers. The others would be, I believe the others were solid all the way up. We'll see when we pull that up. But it would be a hardy siding product. That would be part of the trim color, which would be the white.
And the hardy board you're showing on the taper, that's a smooth finish or other finish?
It would be a smooth finish. It would have to be smooth finish. Is that correct? Yes, ma'am. It would be
Okay.
a smooth finish.
And then can you talk about the brick veneer? We typically like to see true brick. Can you talk about that brick veneer
Let me
system?
pull up the detail. I believe it would be a true brick, but let me, I don't want to misspeak. Let me find the pure detail for you. Yeah, brick veneer. It's not a scored stucco. It would actually be a brick veneer.
Do you have a sample of that here with you today?
No, ma'am, I do not.
Okay.
I didn't bring a brick sample. It would just be a typical red brick, though.
All right. And then you talked about having some samples. Do you have a window sample or a door sample here with you? Or
No,
can
ma'am,
we-
I just have the renditions.
Okay. Can we look at your window cut sheet again?
Yes,
and
ma'am.
Talk through the material and the style.
So this is a 3/1 window. Specs on it is vinyl. I would request that we be allowed to use vinyl for basically for sustainability and for durability for the homeowner. Being that we're affordable housing, our homeowners aren't typically able to do large projects like replacing windows. And my fear or concern with wood windows would be that they just don't hold up like vinyl windows do. I know there's a clad window, we could do that. Vinyl would be preferred. We do have the mullions on the inside and outside of this, so that it's cosmetically accurate. But we would strongly prefer to use vinyl material if we could.
So when you
for the
talk about a
homeowner.
cladding option, what does that mean?
Basically, it's wood inside and then cladded on the outside. My only concern with that is if there is, the word that I'm looking for escapes me, but if water were to get behind the cladding, it gets held against the wood on the inside and the windows can rot that way. So in my opinion, true vinyl windows are the best way to go.
Okay, and then for the doors, can you speak to the doors, the material and style of those? Oh, before we leave the windows, is there a section that shows how they're to be installed?
There might be on the print, I'd have to look.
Sorry, guys.
So window trim detail. I'm just gonna take this off the screen so I can see. I don't think there's an install detail on here though.
If you can't find a detail, can you describe how you intend to install the windows in the CMU walls and how they would trim out with the hardy?
Yes, they would get the trim here, and I believe it's, I think the trim is a 6-inch on the edges of the building and 4-inch on the windows, I believe. And then there's an overhang on the top trim piece that overhangs on the sides. So the horizontal overhangs the vertical, and I believe it's by 2 inches on either side.
Okay.
To be, Barrios accurate.
And how are the windows to be installed in the wall? Are they flush? Are they recessed? Are they sitting, however many inches behind the face of the CMU?
I'd hate to misspeak, I don't believe it's called out here.
Okay.
But it would be
Because he
recessed
had
by a couple
asked
inches, I
for
would
a-
think,
a
because
wall
it's not a
section,
fin
never a
window.
window.
So it sits in the block. I don't know the exact dimensions of how far it would be recessed.
Okay. That's a huge one. And then can you just pull up the door cut sheet one more
Yes, ma'am.
time and talk about the materiality and style of that?
Now, that door is different than the one shown in the elevation.
You're right, that's an oversight on my part. Oops.
Is it still intended to be a steel door, though?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and then the style, is the style preferred what you're showing us in the cut sheet or what's in the elevation?
What do you think, the cut sheet? Yeah, I would think the cut sheet. So that would be an adjustment we'd have to make on the elevation.
Would that door be used on both the side and the front?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Right?
I would imagine we
Yes,
could on
it would be
the
for
side,
consistency.
provide some light.
Okay, I'll pass it on to anyone else who wants to take over.
I'll go. And I think what, oh, sorry.
Hi, I'm sorry, I just wanted to make one comment. So we're on 2606, and as far as the soil contamination, that pump house was in the very rear of 2606. So most of the soil contamination was on 2606. A little bit of it was over on 2608 as well, just a small part. I mean, we have, a plan that shows it. But I just want to let you know, on on that site plan, there is going to be a monitoring well that will be there for a year. I can't tell you the exact date of when that comes out, because the monitoring well, it should be a year after the well is installed. And as you know, there's areas out there that are very disturbed as we remove this soil. So as far as locating the shed on 2606, we're not going to be able to have it towards the back, at least until that monitoring well is done. I think it is shown on the site plan.
Yeah, it was there.
I'm not sure. I don't know how to work this. I think it's going to be back in here somewhere. But the monitoring well is shown on the site plan. And so it will be there at least a year from now.
Can you move it so that the other townhome is also shown? Because it looks like it's pointing to the other townhome, the other side of the.
Show them
Yeah,
both side by side.
2608. Do you have 2608?
No, just mean that one.
Oh,
That one.
2606.
Yes.
Sorry.
Show them
Sorry,
side by
I keep
side.
thinking 2606 is split.
So you see the line that says monitoring well on the other one, looks like it's pointing at the
These are
second
the same,
one.
aren't they?
Yeah.
There's a
Well,
W
this
with a
is-
circle in it, that's what it's pointing
So
at.
it's
Yep.
basically back, this
Yep.
is the.
If you
western
folded
lot,
it,
so
if you
eastern.
folded it and put it next to its brother,
Oh,
it
this is,
would.
okay,
this is
yeah,
the
so it
eastern
should be in here somewhere. Looks like it might be split right on the property.
It looks like the well is actually on the right side of the townhome, the eastern side of it. Yeah.
So, I just wanted to point that out. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Since we're on the site, well, I just want to make one note first, is that the sheds weren't properly noticed, so we're going to have to kind of notate that in whatever motion we come up with, and look at having staff work with them to come up with a solution there. And these sheds aren't permanent structures, they're prefab, just drop them on site, so I don't think there's anything where, they'll need to be anchored to the ground, but not a built structure, if you will. So when we talk about looking at the site plan, going from the front, each unit has its own sidewalk going to that unit, even though it's a shared porch?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so there's two individual sidewalks. What's the material, I'm now jumping to the ribbons that go to the concrete pad. What's the material of that?
Concrete.
Concrete, so everything's concrete?
Yes, sir.
And you're gonna work on the scoring pattern there?
Yes, sir.
It'll probably be more than you normally do?
Yes, sir, that's
in the
correct.
application. So in a general sense, you said you're working on your drainage plan for that area. What is the proposed solution? Is it all just kind of, are you putting vaults under the property? Is everything just gonna collect and be shifted to the front of the street? Do you want a kind of a lot of times when we're siting these houses, we like to see a certain setback, and I think your setback from the front is appropriate. These are gonna be higher than the site, but there's still gonna be some sloping on the site to drain everything to the front?
Towards the
Is that
front, that's
general
correct,
plan?
yes, sir. And we're also gonna have bubblers, like inlets on the property. So the water collects, it'll go in there, and that comes out to East 10th as well.
So no vaults
That's
or
correct.
anything like that. So, you didn't really talk about your roof here. What's the material on the roof?
It'll be asphalt shingle. I'm glad you brought that up. I actually meant to bring that up. It'll be asphalt shingle, and a lot of times we have roofers donate
Sure.
roofs, so that we're hoping for that as well.
Okay.
But either way, it'll be asphalt shingle roof.
Okay. And is the color on this unit anything in particular?
We had talked about this. We had figured it'd probably be either all one color or alternate between the two, but it would be charcoal or gray.
Okay. So
That way it
you
kinda
could-
matches
I
with-
think we're talking about sister units, right? Two and two.
Correct,
For
yes,
color
sir.
schemes
Yes, sir.
and their detailing, so the roofing could potentially follow that or all be the same.
One or the other. It would either, like if there's 4 buildings, 2 different elevations, we might do, say, charcoal and charcoal on buildings A and C, just to make up a term.
Right.
And then gray for B and D, or they might all be charcoal, but it would be something like that.
Is your general color scheme for the other 2 units like a grayish type of thing, or are you?
There's grayish and there's a sage green and a tan.
Okay.
So that's why we figured a neutral, like a charcoal or a gray for the roof shingles would
Okay.
kind of match everything. It's likely it would be the same roof for all 4 buildings,
Right.
especially if it's donated.
Okay, and I think that's kind of a minor, I mean, the roof color generally matches the scheme there.
Yes, sir.
One thing that I did notice on your site plan, which is really a survey, is that you list some downspouts on there, but I didn't see any downspouts or gutters off of your roof. What's the plan there?
We generally, when we have gutters and downspouts, we generally will run it right down the front and we'll tie it into drains underground and spit them out towards the front so we don't have collecting water on the side of the house.
Okay, but your detail, when you show the eave, shows exposed rafter tails. Are you gonna have like a fascia board and then have a gutter coming off the roof and then catch the downspouts at the corners?
That might actually be a question for you. I don't believe we can have fascia board, right? It has to be exposed rafter tails, right?
You use a gutter.
Just trying to make sure we understand what
Yes, sir.
we're trying to do.
In these craftsman style homes with the exposed rafter tails, the half-round gutters are more acceptable because they're less deeper and the rafter tails read. So if they're going to incorporate gutters and rain leaders, it should be a half-round gutter with a round rain leader.
Is that the intent here?
That, we normally do gutters, yes, sir. So if that would be accepted,
Well, it
then
can't be
that-
like a K, what he's saying is it can't be like a typical K style, residential gutter. It needs to be a half round. to be
Yes, sir.
Appropriate for the
Yes, sir.
district. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So the plan is to have gutters and downspouts, and you collect the downspouts and
I would certainly
shed
think so,
Yes.
right? We always do
Yes.
that. Yes, yes,
Okay.
sir. Yes, sir.
Got that. So, I think we're good on the bricks and materials. The windows, I think that's open for further discussion on the materiality. I think what my fellow commissioner was referring to is, when we talk about installing the windows, we don't have really a wall section, but those windows need to be inset into that
Yes,
block.
sir.
So they're not flush with the hardy board siding, that they're recessed
Correct.
into the thing. So that's why we're asking for what's your detail for the installation. So they need to be set back, centered in the CMU, or set back so there's relief between
Yes, sir.
the elevation there.
And I can get that detail for you. We don't have it on these prints, but I can get that for you.
And I think that's all I have for questions right now.
Can you show me the plan that shows the foundation?
Yes, sir.
Piers?
Can you see that?
Yes. Between the veneer brick piers and the stuccoed edge of the foundation, is there any relief, or is it all smooth?
I'm sorry, say that again?
If you're looking at the front of the building,
Yes, sir.
you have the building raised on piers, concrete in between, because it's a slab, right?
Yes, sir.
Is there any relief between the pier and the slab?
Basically a weep hole?
No, like is the slab set back a little bit off the pier?
Oh, yes, sir, the piers would stick out from
Okay.
the house, yes, sir. I'm sorry, I misunderstood the question.
Right.
Yes, sir, the piers would be pronounced, they would come off the front. Yes, sir. I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
I have one more question maybe. Is there any fencing on this site?
Not yet, no, sir. There's no proposed or planned fencing. Sometimes we get that donated as well. We had a company recently come and donate fence on some of our properties, but as of right now, there's no plan for fencing.
Okay, well, it's got to be a particular type and style, and you'd have to work with staff on that if it's something that comes up in the future.
Yes, sir. We would come before the board before we did anything like that, but right now, there's no plan for fencing.
Okay, and one more question on the windows. Clear glass, right? You're not going to use
That's correct. Yes,
tempered
sir.
or tinted or anything like that?
That's correct. Just tempered in the bathroom where necessary by a tub or shower, but other than that, regular glass. Yes, sir.
Okay, any other questions?
And it's not low E?
It'll be low E glass, yes, ma'am, but
Okay.
not shaded and not tempered. But yes, ma'am, it would be low E glass.
Okay.
Can you pull this plan up just a little bit so I can see the front porch steps, please?
Sure. The sheet that I have up right now?
Yes, please.
Okay.
So are the concrete steps that are shown here, are they to be finished in any way, or are they gonna stay as concrete?
It would stay as concrete, as well as the porch.
Okay,
Sometimes on the porch, we'll texture it and paint it, but it would be concrete.
so they might be painted?
Not normally. Normally, it would be, we just use, just raw concrete for the front porches. We have done texture and paint in the past, but normally we just do regular concrete porch.
Okay.
Is that what would typically be, more acceptable for Barrios, just the raw concrete? Because
Well,
we can do either.
It depends on the style.
Okay,
And
okay,
what you're showing as an example of where you're going,
okay,
but it's appropriate,
okay.
I believe, in the cases that have come before us, so.
Normally, we use just uncovered concrete. The only time really we texture it and paint it is if there's damage during the construction process and we have to fix it. That way they don't have a patched
Let's hope
porch.
you get a great sub.
It takes a lot of
If you
them.
don't have one, let me know.
I sure will. It seems like towards the end of a project, somebody drops something and chips the face off of a
I'll
stair.
come and set your board and
You
make it
just
nice
got the
and
job.
smooth, yeah.
Congratulations. I'm just gonna make some notes while we're sure.
Any other questions?
No.
Okay. We're going to go ahead and close the questioning here. You have a few moments if you'd like to summarize what we just talked about. You just have a forum to do that if you'd like.
I think we covered all the bases. Like I said at the beginning, this is the first one of these that I've done, so hopefully I gave you enough and not too much or too little information. But we appreciate you guys giving us the opportunity to come before you and propose this project. The thing that we do is really a labor of love, and it's a great thing to be a part of. So anytime we get a chance to do this and fit into like a historic district, for us, it's an opportunity and kind of an honor because it allows us to expand the service that we provide for our homeowners. And like I said before, if you've never been to a dedication, it's an experience you won't forget. So I appreciate you guys letting us come before you and propose this. If there's any questions I can answer, but I believe I've set forth all the information that I intended to. If I left anything out, I apologize ahead of time. Oh, Lynette would like to speak.
So a couple things about the project. Habitat received Federal Home Loan Bank of Pittsburgh funding for this project. So that's going to help with the construction costs. Part of that application also is that 5 of the households are going to be households that make less than 60% of area median income. And 2 of the households will be for special needs families. or households. And special needs can be if it's a physical, mental disability, if it's a victim of domestic violence, a veteran, and even a senior. And I know that you're thinking senior and stairs, but there is a bedroom on the first floor. So, and then we are working with a infamous family in the Ybor history, and hopefully we will be having some naming possibilities for this particular unit from that family.
Thank you. One more quick question before we move on. You said some special needs. I don't think there's going to be room in here for, you're not proposing any ADA ramps or anything, you know? Because
No,
I don't
no.
think you have limited space to be able to
And
pull that off.
the door openings aren't wide enough for
Yeah.
Right.
special needs.
No, but special needs can be, you know, if there's certain issues going on with a family member, a child, or, you know, something like that. But yes, I understand about the disability. I said physical disability.
Sure. Okay, thank you. We're going to go ahead and close the public hearing at this point in time, and then we can have discussion on the case amongst ourselves. Susan, you want to get us going?
Well, for me, the biggest one is the windows.
Yeah.
It's a no-no. We've always said it's a no-no, and I love this organization. My firm volunteers with this organization. Many of the firms I work for have. And I get the restraints, and I get donations and how hard it is sometimes. But consistency with the rest of the projects that have come before us. If we let one in, then there are others that will come in. So the true vinyl is problematic for me. I think all the rest of the concerns I have can be managed, but yeah.
Am I allowed to speak to that?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
I was just gonna say it's not a problem.
Yeah, I'll go ahead, Vivian.
No, no comment.
Yeah, I think the project's great. You know, I think we all understand how the organization works, and a lot of this material is donated. We just want to make sure that you're doing things in the right way to respect the historic district here. You have a great resource in Ron, and I think a lot of these things will you know, I think this is going to move forward with some conditions to work with staff on getting a few things straightened out. But I think historically, Habitat's always been a great neighbor to your neighbors, so I think their concerns of the people that showed up today should be addressed properly. And I think your detailing is there, and I understand these are kind of set plans, and we're kind of pulling from some of that, but I think all you're moving in the right direction, and I think we just kind of get that kind of firmed down a little bit and work with staff to get that worked down. Regarding the windows, I think they need to be clad. I mean, that's just what we do here in the district, so I think there's some, it's not that much more cost in the big picture, but I think that's a big one, and I think my commissioner's concern was also being able to make sure that those windows are inset and properly detailed, and it looks like your hardy board detailing is you'll get that figured out, and I think it'll be a great addition to the neighborhood.
If I could add to that, if a better line or a better known manufacturer is specified for the vinyl clad, the concerns about water, moisture getting into the frame, they should have weeps within those anyways that keep the water from going through the entire frame. So the install is important as well
Yes,
as
ma'am.
the specification. So,
Okay.
you know, those can be managed.
Yes, ma'am.
Unfortunately, sometimes when things are donated, they don't quite meet the specification, and that may put you in a little bit of an awkward position if you're accepting a window donation that doesn't fit the guideline specifications here.
Yes, ma'am, but that's okay. I mean, if we had someone who wanted to donate windows and they weren't Barrios appropriate, we would nicely tell them we can't. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. First one.
Okay.
Let's see. So, yeah, and I think that the sediment in general is, you know, there's resources, and we could point you in the right direction as well. Get your concrete sub and maybe one of your window subs out there to help out.
Yeah. I do know someone in the window industry, so
Yeah.
maybe.
And there's plenty that are manufacturers right in Ybor City that I'm sure would be willing to help too.
Yeah.
Okay, any other further discussion? Okay, are we ready for a motion?
Can I put it together? Okay, all
Yeah, that'd be great, sure.
right.
She's the best.
Wait, did you say something about the sheds in the beginning when
They
you were
weren't, so
talking
this-
about?
Yeah, so the sheds weren't properly noticed, so they weren't, even though they show up in our site plan, so they need to be kind of excluded from our motion, but, we could probably state that the intent is probably to have some kind of storage shed in the back, and they can work with staff to,
Any storage sheds in the future can be delegated to staff.
Well, these are storage sheds shown on the plan. They're proposed for future installation, correct?
Dana Crosby, Collier City Attorney's Office. The sheds are not a part, they did show them on the plan, however, they are not a part of this review today because they weren't noticed. Therefore, you should have if you're going to recognize the sheds in any way, you should just delegate that approval and that process to staff, and they
Okay.
can review your setbacks and other things that you were concerned with.
Okay. Make sure I write this note correct before I say it. All righty. You ready? Okay. Let me get my motion in front of me again. Had it. Move that the, oops, wrong one. It's not a variance. Hold on. Sorry. This is, all right. Move to grant a certificate of appropriateness for the drawings and documents presented at this public hearing in BLC 26-00000042 for the property located at 2606 East 10th Avenue in the Ybor City Historic District with the following conditions. One, that the site stormwater management plan be provided and reviewed by staff. That noted that the storage sheds shown on the plans are to be installed in the future and to be delegated to staff for review. That the hardscaping, including the proposed concrete drive pad at the side of the units, be reviewed with staff for appropriate historically accurate scoring pattern. That the barge rafter size be shown, and it is recommended that a 2x8 be used in that location. That final window samples be provided to staff for review, and that the windows be vinyl clad rather than true vinyl as presented. That a building section through a window and a building section through the porch be provided to staff for review. And that proposed gutters and downspouts be historically accurate for exposed rafter condition, including half-inch round gutters and round downspouts. Because, and the color palette be reviewed by staff. I'm sorry?
And the sample of the red brick veneer.
That's part of the color palette, correct?
Okay.
That the color palette be, the final color palette be reviewed by staff. And that the doors be as presented in the cut sheet, not in the exterior elevations. Because based upon the finding of fact, the proposed project is consistent with the Ybor City design guidelines of the City of Tampa for the following reasons. That the designs meet the design criteria for both height and width, the setback, the spacing, and the alignment of details and forms and building materials within the district.
I second.
okay. To the applicant, there's been a few conditions placed upon this motion, as you've heard. Can you acknowledge that you're in agreement with these conditions?
Yes, sir, I am.
Okay. So noted. All in favor of said motion, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Congrats.
Good morning, Commissioners. Ron Vila, I'm staff with Historic Preservation. Our next agenda item is BLC 26 000039. This is for the address of 2608 East 10th Avenue. Currently, there's a vacant parcel. The underlying zoning is YC2. The request is for a certificate of appropriateness for a duplex with site improvements. You saw a little bit of in the future, what he's gonna bring forward now. He does need to do a complete presentation, although abbreviated, that, to put everything on the record. I do have the photos if you wish to, use them as part of your review process. They're here at your leisure, but at this time, I think he could move forward with the next one. Once again, we're working from the west to the east, so this is the second parcel moving from the west.
And are you guys ready for me whenever I'm ready? Okay, great. So first of all, I'll start by saying sorry for answering a question that was not intended for me. Okay, so just to recap, I just want to show, so we're looking at this building here now.
Yes, sir. If you could state your name for the record
Oh,
as
I'm
well.
sorry. My name is John Wheaton, Senior Vice President in Construction for Habitat for Humanity at Tampa Bay Hillsborough. So now we're moving on to 2608. All construction practices are the same as the building that we just spoke about. But moving on to this building here, 2608. Here's the site plan for each. So this would be the eastern unit. Very similar to the site plan that we proposed on the other building. And then here's for the western unit. Sheds and setbacks, everything is similar to the last one that we presented. So for elevations for this one, instead of the brick piers, you'll see that we have, so we have piers finished with hardy material. Same concrete steps, concrete porch. Left elevation here, also showing the communal open porch to the neighbor next to them, and then same idea on the main entry being here. Covered entry. This will also be recessed lights like the other buildings, why you don't see them on the elevation here. Rear elevation with a 12-inch trim board below the gable. And then I have two left elevations. Let me see if I have a right elevation. I might have printed two of the left instead of one of the right. Oh no, I do have a right elevation. So this would be the neighboring unit. Same roof, same building, but this is the other unit. Wall section would be the same. So same construction, block over block. With exposed rafters and appropriate overhangs. And then the colors for this one, let me pull the name up for you. It's on my front elevation here. So brown body, ivory trim, and then white accents on the piers and handrails. And this is just kind of sample of what those colors would look like together. And we pulled these off of the Barrio color palette, right? Is that what it's called? Yes. So that's just conceptually what the colors would look like together. We have the door cut sheet. The window cut sheet as well. And then sample hardware. And then also same detail as the other building for the front handrail. Same design, same construction. And then same detail here as well. So 2x2 wood pickets, painted white with a top handrail. And I realize my window cut sheet shows a 3/1 and the elevation shows 1/1. That's a mistake on my part, so I just wanted to acknowledge that. And let's see, we did color palettes. Yeah, everything else is similar to the unit that we just provided for you. So with respect to your time, I don't want to go give detail that I already gave unless you'd like me to go over something in particular.
Does that conclude your presentation?
Yes, sir, it does. Yes, sir. Okay, thank you.
Good morning, Commissioner Ron Vila, staff with Historic Preservation. Staff's finding that this application is consistent with the Ybor City Design Guidelines. Couple of differences from the first one to this one that I wanted to call out. He talked about initially in his delivery to the board that he was going to do an A-B, so this is the B. The windows are different. This is a 1/1 window. Still should be a cladded wood window. The good thing with this construction is that when they do the CMU, the windows are set in to meet our standards. When you have frame construction, sometimes the windows come out and they're flush. So I'm comfortable with the windows that they'll be set in appropriately. One of the other differences is the foundation here. The foundation is all stucco instead of engaging with the piers. And then on the gable end, he has the lap siding instead of the shake shingles. So that's some of the differences. I wanted to share with you our color palette as well. This is in the office. We don't print it out because it loses something as it goes through the process of the printers and everything. But we have this board in the office, and this is something that we share with our clients as they come in. So there's, about 40 colors here that they could choose from. We look at the body, we look at the trim, and we look at the accent that's consistent with our color palette. That concludes my portion of this presentation.
Anyone here from the public wishing to comment on this case? Seeing none, we can ask some questions of the applicant. Who wants to go first? Vivian.
Well, it's just, again, the question of the windows and the section detail through the windows.
Yes, ma'am.
But I think everything is just repeated from the
That's correct.
from
Yes,
the A
ma'am.
plan.
Yes, ma'am. And the cladded windows will be fine. We don't have a problem doing that. And the elevation or the cut sheet that I showed with the 3/1 is a mistake on my part.
But can you clarify the material on the column base is now hardy plank, you said?
That's correct. Yes, ma'am. It would be a
And-
smooth, hardy material.
Smooth hardy. Okay. Could you show us the elevation again, please?
Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted a clarification of the gable material, and it's
That would be a lap
smooth-
siding.
Smooth lap.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Similar to this. But the sample I brought is a rough finish. We would use a smooth. But
Right.
this is the sample of the material. It would be hardy lap siding.
Okay, that's it.
Just in the initial plans I saw, it was for a ribbon driveway. I wasn't familiar with that. I actually just looked it up and I recognize that. I was just curious if there's any flooding concerns with that.
Ribbon driveways help with flooding concerns because it's less impermeable surface. Solid driveway, of course, there's nowhere for the water to go. Ribbon driveway helps because there's very little impermeable surface. So it's 3-3-3, so there's a lot of sod there to help absorb the water. So it actually helps with flooding concerns.
Cool, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Susan?
I have no questions, thank you. I asked them all last time.
I know. I just, for our sake, I just want to clarify a few things. So it looks like this scheme here, this is all going to be hardy board. There's no shake on the gable end. You're adding a vent. There's no gable brackets, correct?
That's correct, yes, sir.
Okay, and this is a 1/1 system. We know the doors are changing to the cut sheet.
Yes, sir.
Gutters and downspouts on this project, like the other one?
Would be the same as the other one, yes, sir.
Okay, so exposed rafter tails.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so regarding this, I'll stay on this one. Can you go to the side elevation?
Yes, sir. Left or right?
Either. They're the same, primarily.
They basically
I
are
want
the
to talk about
same.
the stem wall. So it looks like there might have been something in there. So this is straight stucco the whole way, right?
Yes, sir.
There's no bump outs. There's no brick piers.
That's correct.
It looked like there was something there. You have that dimension there, but this is all going to be straight stucco, and then the front column will be a hardy board clad.
Yes, sir.
With a square column instead of a round or
That's correct.
tapered.
Yes, sir.
tapered column. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just want to make sure on that one. And then on the site plan, it looks like you have a tree back there. And it looks like the tree is actually on the third site, well, halfway between the second and third. Does that affect really anything?
It does not. It sits back where it will not affect anything. There might be some light trimming that needs to happen, but we might not even have that. We did go out there and check into that. It does not look like it'll interfere with anything.
Okay.
Likely not even the shed.
I don't know what shed you're talking about.
I sneezed. I said it's you.
Okay, and everything else is the same? We got the ribbon, concrete pad, the porch, one sidewalk per?
Yes, sir, that's
Okay.
correct.
I'm good. I'm good with all that. Everyone's, yeah, okay.
Okay.
Any more questions? Commissioners, okay. You have a few moments if you'd like to summarize any of the comments or differences or your presentation.
Very much the same as the first. We appreciate the opportunity to be here. We want to service some families, and like Lynette said, we did receive a $1.2 million grant from Federal Home Loan Bank of Pittsburgh to go towards the project. So it's everything seems to be moving in the right direction, and our goal is to satisfy the Barrio Oaks Commission and be able to move forward with helping families.
Okay, great. And I'll just make one more comment on that. I'm not sure if you're within the Ybor City CRA district, but there's probably some affordable housing money that may be available if you're not in the district. CRA 2?
We just missed it. It ends right at 26, so we're one lot off from being able to
Okay,
access
there's
the
a lot of-
DPA money. We would love to, but yeah, we just
Well,
missed
when
it.
we'll get you closer back into the district, and then you can take advantage of it. Next project.
That's a different condition.
Yeah. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and close the public hearing. We can have discussion amongst ourselves.
I think the discussion has already occurred.
Yeah. I think the only thing, my point, the only one that I'm kind of maybe a little uneasy with is not having no stem wall. No piers there, just having that being one long band. I think they might be able to dress that up a little bit, maybe bump out, pronounce the stucco a little bit, or paint it a different color, or something like that would go a long way if they want to do stucco. So that's my only major concern, and maybe make that a condition.
I might need something out of it, though.
You're looking at me.
So a point may I ask a point of clarification? In presenting the next, this one, does she have to, will we have to go through the repetition of all of those conditions that were attached to the first case?
We have a lot.
Yes, ma'am.
I got it.
Each motion
I can
stands
do
alone.
that.
Okay.
You're all gonna buy me a coffee after this.
Okay, deal.
All right, let me get my thing back up. All right. All right. Move to grant a certificate of appropriateness for the drawings and documents presented at this public hearing in BLC 26-000039 for the property located at 2608 East 10th Avenue in the Ybor City Historic District with the following conditions. That the stormwater management plan be presented to staff, that I guess I'm not mentioning the sheds this time. We'll just say delegated to staff, that the scoring on the hardscape, including the car pad, be coordinated with staff for historically appropriate patterning, that the barge rafter at the gable ends be, the size of the barge rafters be shown and 2x8 is recommended, that final window samples and door samples be provided to staff for review, that a section through a window and a section through the porch be presented to staff for review, that the final color palette be presented to staff and reviewed with staff, that the windows be vinyl clad wood, not vinyl as shown in the cut sheet, that the door be, and 1/1s rather than 3/1s as indicated in the elevations, that gutters and downspouts, if they are added to the project, they be appropriate for exposed rafter tails with a 1/2-inch round gutter and a round downspout. That at the foundation, which is stucco all around, work with staff to provide relief with appropriate detailing, including some control joints. And did I say the door cut sheets?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Because based upon the finding of fact, the proposed project is consistent with the Ybor City design guidelines of the City of Tampa for the following reasons. The design meets the criteria for new construction in regards to its height and width, the setbacks, the spacing, alignment, similarity of details and forms, and the building materials.
Point of clarification, with the foundation and the stem wall for the stucco, do you just want control joints or you want a little bit of relief in there?
Including some.
Including relief and
Yes.
control joint?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, to the applicant, there's been a number of conditions placed upon this application number. I'd like you to acknowledge that you're okay with these conditions.
Yes, sir, I am.
Okay, acknowledged. All in favor of said motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Good morning, Commissioners. Ron Velam, staff with Historic Preservation. Our next agenda item is BLC 26-000041. This is for the address of 2610 East 10th Avenue. Currently, there's a vacant parcel. The use moving forward will be residential. They're asking for a certificate of appropriateness for new construction for a duplex with site improvements. At this time, Mr. Wheaton will address the board.
Good morning, John Wheaton, Senior Vice President of Construction and Housing Development with Habitat for Humanity at Tampa Bay Hillsborough. Seeking certificate of appropriateness for next address, 2610 East 10th Avenue. Should be this third parcel in here. Similar construction as the other buildings. Elevation would be going back to the one that we loosely referred to as elevation A. But here are the site plans. This is for the eastern unit. Same layout and same setbacks as the other units. And this is for the western unit. Front elevation goes back to same elevation as the first one that we presented. This one, the color palette would be a little bit different. Sage green body, ivory trim, and then red brick on the piers. Then you'll see the gable, similar to the first one that we proposed, is the wood shake siding. 12-inch trim board underneath of that, and then transitioning into lap siding. All hardy material. All the hardy material will be smooth finish, except for the shake siding. Left elevation here with the exposed rafter tails, asphalt shingle roof, stucco finish over CMU block on the stem walls between brick piers, lighting at the front porch and at the side entry to be recessed, and then front porch, no separation wall between the two porches for a communal porch to be shared by the occupants of the two homes. Rear elevation here shows same. The only difference is the gable has lap siding. We have lap siding from top to bottom to match the first building that we showed you, 2606. Trim board separating the gable from the rest of the home. Right elevation similar to the left elevation. Asphalt shingle roof, recessed lighting, and a communal front porch. Brick veneers to represent piers between with stucco in between over the CMU block. Exposed rafter tails with appropriate overhang. Wall sections. Block over block construction, as is the case throughout all these units that we're proposing today. And then our cut sheets for the door. Similar door, same door. Oops. Cut sheet for the windows. These would be a 3/1 to match the elevation of 2606. Understood that it'll be wood clad window. And then the color palettes, so as I said before, it would be sage green body, ivory trim, and then the red brick. And as Mr. Vila said, sometimes when you print colors, it doesn't come out true, but we tried to get a decent representation, so this would be kind of the inspiration. Part of this came out kind of a blue. We would not be using a blue. It would be the sage green with the ivory trim. So the trim would be, so this would all be the sage color, and then trim would just be the hardy board trim accents and the handrails. Everything else is similar to the other buildings that we proposed. Similar construction, similar materials. That concludes my presentation for this building, unless there are questions.
Good morning, Commissioner Ron Vila. I'm a planner with Historic Preservation. Staff's finding that this project is consistent with the Ybor City Design Guidelines. Through the drawings that were provided and verbally what was stated on the record, A lot of the conditions on page 3 were addressed through the presentation. The one thing is the final color selection should be delegated to staff as well. As I stated, if there's a variety of images that are shown that don't show the inspiration of the final color selection. So that should be delegated, and with that, I'm here to answer any questions.
Anyone here from the public wishing to comment on this case? Seeing none, we'll ask questions of the applicant. Susan?
I have none, thank you.
I don't have any.
No questions.
No questions for me, thank you.
Okay. You have a few moments if you want to summarize anything that happened from our intensive questioning session.
No, we just appreciate the time to present this before you. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to go ahead and close the public hearing. Any discussion on the case?
None.
I think we know what we're doing now. Okay.
All right, number 3. Move to grant a certificate of appropriateness for the drawings and documents presented at the public hearing in BLC, I'm in number 3, right? Yeah. 26-000041 for the property located at 2610 East 10th Avenue in the Ybor City Historic District, with the following conditions: that the site stormwater management plan be presented to staff, that the sheds be delegated to staff for review and approval, that the agent work with staff to provide appropriate historically accurate scoring on a hardscape, including the car pad at the sides of the units, that the agent work with staff regarding the barge rafter size, and 2x8 is recommended, that final window and door samples be presented to staff for review, that the windows be vinyl clad wood, that the door be the cut sheet image represented rather than the elevations represented, that a section through a window and a section through the porch be provided to staff for review, and that the final color palette be presented to staff for review, and that gutters and downspouts, if provided, be historically accurate for exposed rafter tail conditions, including a half-inch or half-round gutter with round rain leaders. I believe that is it. I put the gutters and downspouts on. I think I said that. Yeah. Because based upon the finding of fact, the proposed project is consistent with the Ybor City design guidelines of the City of Tampa for the following reasons: that the design is aligned with the design criteria for new construction in the district, including the height and width proposed, the setbacks, spacing, alignment, similarity of details and forms, as well as the building materials.
Second.
Okay. To the applicant, there's been a number of conditions placed on this specific BLC number. Is the applicant okay with these conditions?
Yes, sir.
Okay. It's been acknowledged. All in favor of said motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Good morning, Commissioners. Ron Veal, I'm staff with Historic Preservation. The most eastern parcel associated with this grouping that was coming forward is BLC-26-0000043. This is for the address of 2612 East 10th Avenue. This is also a vacant parcel. The underlying zoning is YC2. The use is residential, and the request is for a certificate of appropriateness for a duplex with site improvements. Mr. Wheaton will address the board.
Good morning. John Wheaton, Senior Vice President of Construction and Housing Development, Habitat for Humanity, Tampa Bay, Hillsborough. So the unit that we're going over now, 2612 East 10th Avenue, which is this far right parcel here. Very similar to all the rest, ribbon driveways with a concrete parking pad, side entry for both. Here's the site plan for the western unit. Site plan for the eastern unit. Just want to point out on the site plan, we show a continuous walkway through the driveways. We will add the appropriate cut pattern. So going back to what we kind of loosely termed elevation B, to match the parcel at 2608 East 10th. Going back to lap siding, from top to bottom, including in the gable, with trim board to separate, exposed rafter tails, concrete porch and steps, with stucco in between piers, and the piers would be a smooth, hardy product, as well as the lap siding will also be a smooth, hardy product. We have 1/1 windows. Rear elevation, similar to the front, in that it is all lap hardy siding, smooth finish with appropriate overhang, 1/1 windows. Left elevation shows main entry on the side of the unit. On the side entry as well as front porch, it'll be recessed lighting, which is why it doesn't show on the print. Front porch shows a communal porch shared with the neighbor. Exposed rafters, asphalt shingle roof. Right elevation is a mirror of the left, with a side entry and a communal porch on the front. All lap siding and stucco finish on the stem wall, so no exposed CMU block. Wall section to mirror the wall sections of the other buildings, block over block. And then our cut sheets for the windows. And again, I acknowledge on this one, this is a 3/1 cut sheet. I acknowledge this should be a 1/1. It's a mistake on my part. It'll be MI windows. 1/1 wood clad windows. Door will match the door on the other units as well for consistency. Sample hardware to match the hardware on the other units, also for consistency. And then this is just color inspiration. The color proposal on this unit would be tan body, brown trim with the white piers and handrail. This is just a sample, rough sample, as best we could get on a printer for the inspiration behind those colors taken from the Barrios color palette. And again, it's just a sample detail of what our handrails will look like up close, cosmetically. And then a detail of the construction type. 2x2 painted wood pickets, 4.5 inches on center with a top rail. And that concludes my presentation for the unit at 2612 East 10th.
Good morning, Commissioner Ron Vila. I'm staff with Historic Preservations. Staff's finding that this application is consistent with the Ybor City Design Guidelines. Just to summarize, you saw 4 presentations today that meet our criteria. When you go to our application of standards on page 3 of the staff report, which we pull the inspiration from the design guidelines, it hits on height and width, the width of the facades, the setbacks, the spacing, the alignment, the similarities in material and forms, and the building materials themselves. all of those criterias were hit. That's why this presentation was received favorably, in working with their team. It was a success from where it started to where it's at now. So I'm here to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Vila. Anyone here from the public wishing to comment? Seeing none. Any questions of the applicant?
None?
Okay, you have a few minutes if you want to summarize your comments. It's up to you. We can.
Well, being this is the last unit that we're presenting, we just want to thank the staff for your time and for letting us come in and for giving Habitat the opportunity. We like what we do. We love what we do, serving the community and serving low-income families. And as part of that, being able to kind of honor tradition like the Barrios Committee and kind of beautify the area as well. So we'd like to thank the staff for your time and for the opportunity to build in the area, and we appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and close the public hearing. Any discussion amongst ourselves?
This one has that same condition along the rear, alongside elevation, the piers and the stuff.
Yeah, and I'd just like to acknowledge Habitat. We welcome you to the area. I mean, you all do wonderful work, so I think the feeling's mutual. And I do want to, one other point that I wanted to commend you on too is your window placement. Really, to the front, I think you could have gone with less windows, but I really like the 3 windows up front, and it just, speaks to
I
a nice
like all the
rhythm.
windows in the front.
You like
Thank
them?
you for giving
More.
light
Light.
to people and the reality of life
Yes, ma'am.
indoors. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we hope to see you again soon with more projects.
Likewise, thank you very much.
Okay, I think we're ready for a motion.
All right.
You got this.
Fourth is a term? Okay. Move to grant a certificate of appropriateness for the drawings and documents presented at this public hearing in BLC, I keep covering my numbers, sorry. BLC 26-000043 for the property located at 2612 East 10th Avenue in the Ybor City Historic District. With the following conditions: that the site stormwater management plan be presented to staff for review, that the sheds be delegated to staff for review, that you work with staff for scoring on the hardscape, including the car park pad for historically accurate scoring pattern, that you work with staff regarding the barge rafters shown in the elevations regarding their size, and a 2x8 is recommended, that you work with, or that you present final window and door samples to staff, and that the windows will be vinyl clad wood and the doors will be steel as indicated in the cut sheet, not as indicated in the elevations, that a wall section through a window and a wall section through the porch, including the steps, be provided to staff for review, final color palette be presented to staff for review, that gutters and downspouts, if included, be half-inch round gutters and round rain leaders, and that at the stucco banding along the foundation at sides and rear, you work with staff to provide more relief, including scoring and joint patterning. Because based on the finding of fact, the proposed project is consistent with the Ybor City Design Guidelines of the City of Tampa for the following reasons: that the design of the project for new construction is consistent with the height and width, setbacks, spacing, alignment, similarity of details and forms, and building materials.
Second.
To the applicant, there's been a number of conditions placed upon this application. Can you acknowledge that you're okay with these conditions?
Yes, sir, I acknowledge, yes, sir.
Great, thank you. All in favor of said motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Congratulations on all your
Congratulations.
projects.
And thank you again
Thank you.
for being such a great partner in the community.
Oh, thank you very much, we appreciate it.
We do team building things too, so hopefully we'll see you guys out there.
Yeah.
I'll get out of the way as quick as I can.
Uno más.
Absolutely, here you go.
Thank you very much.
Nice to meet you. Have a good one. Here, I'll leave one here as well in case any of them need one. Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you.
Good morning. Heather Bonds, Historic Preservation Specialist, here to present on case BLC 26 00000044, which is also related to REZ 26 00000024. This is a recommendation to City Council to approve a rezoning at 1206 Holmes Avenue. Let me see if I can get my PowerPoint up. As I mentioned, this is a recommendation to City Council to approve a rezoning designation from YC8 to YC2. These are both residential zonings in Ybor City. I'll introduce this case with a photo presentation. The site is located at the northeast corner of Holmes Avenue and 12th Street. You can see it's a very long lot there. The structure that's there now is a contributing structure to the Ybor City Historic District, and it's part of the northern expansion. You can see the lines there. It's also in the National Register District, or just outside of the National Register District. This is the 1925 Sanborn map. You can see that there was a structure there on the corner, the S for a shop, and there was a gas tank there. And looking in the city directory, we found that this was actually a filling station. And the structure that's accompanying to it, the existing structure there, it had a auto on the bottom and a dwelling on the second story there. You see a half alley or semi-closed alley there. That is no longer there, so the lot that we see there now extends all the way through that, where that alley used to be. That was vacated years ago. And then the filling station has long been gone. This is the structure there today. Like I said, from our Sanborn maps, it looks like there was auto parking underneath with the dwelling on top, and it's been converted now to dwelling on the top and the bottom. This is the area that's part of the rezoning. Any new development will come back to you all. At this time, this is just a review for the rezoning. The future certificate of appropriateness for new construction and any site improvements will come back for your review. But this is to help hopefully infill some of that missing space there on this corner. This is the view looking from the rear. Again, from the other side where that alley used to be, that's now part of this lot. This is the home to the east. Looking down Holmes towards the east and looking towards the west. This is the back of the rear of the home, and the home on the opposite corner that also faces 12th. And the rear of the property is where that van is. I'll now invite the applicant up to give their request, or their, to ask for their request. I think Ms. Eileen.
Good morning. I don't think so. I don't know, maybe I will. The site plan? Good morning. My name is Eileen Rosario, and I'm representing the owners of 1206 Holmes Avenue. And we're trying to rezone the property so we can be able to put another single-family unit facing North 12th Street so they can have their own driveway. And it's going to be a two-story, small single-family. According to the YC, this is what I spoken with Heather, and Heather, we went over as to how the design should be or where the placement can be for this rezoning. So the house would be facing this way towards North 12th Street with the garage entering, with the driveway entering through the back. And this home that's here will stay remaining, and eventually the plan phase 2 or phase 3 will be to have parking in this section for these people. Because as of right now, they're using the street, so we want to get them off the street and have their own parking on this side. So everybody will have a driveway with their own little entrance. And the maximum as per the future land use would be for 3 units. The lot will not be split, it will remain as is. And basically, that's about it. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Eileen. All right, I'll present our staff report. Just for some background and the evaluation criteria, the BLC does have the power to review and recommend reasonable land use changes to the extent necessary to preserve the historic integrity of and appearance. Our staff report found that it is consistent, and in that they are proposing a single-family home, so that helps stick with the BLC intent. Also, as a note, YC8 was a zoning district created for this northern expansion, so most of the zoning above the interstate is YC8, and as part of 27-177, they can move to a different YC zoning sub-district, provided that it is consistent with the consistency matrix, and these regulations are intended to preserve and conserve the predominantly single-family housing form and to encourage development of vacant tracts, which is what the intent is here. So again, just to recap the YC8 zoning, it's a residential zoning district. YC2 is also a residential zoning district. The main difference here is that the lot size dimensional requirements are different, where YC2, they need an area, a minimum area of 2,500 square feet, where YC8 is larger at 4,356. So being that this total land here is 7,750, doing that math, this would give them up to 3 units. We do round down. So right now, they're only technically allowed to have 1 unit under the YC8. So moving to YC2 would give them 3 units allowed at this site. With Euclidean zoning, that is when we go from one general zoning district to another. That means no PD. You are not required to review a site plan at this time. They will bring back the site plan at time of new construction. So our staff findings was that this is a consistent rezoning consideration. We asked the applicant to provide some images to show the neighborhood and the existing conditions. Again, the proposed site plan, which will be provided at time of new construction. And if the rezoning is granted, they will also bring any sort of elevations for the certificate of appropriateness as well.
Thank you, Ms. Bonds. Anyone here from the public wishing to comment on the case? Seeing none? Okay, we can ask questions of the applicant. Any questions for the applicant? I have one. The existing house that's there, is that, like a is it a single family or a multifamily?
It's two, well, it's, there, one apartment on the first floor, one apartment on the second floor, so it's two
Okay.
units.
All right, yeah, makes sense. Okay.
Just, I do have a question, just kind of a clarification on this zoning designation. Does this property have one single folio number?
Yes.
But when it's, should the rezoning be recommended, would it then turn into 3?
No, it'll still
No.
remain one
Okay.
folio.
All right,
Keep it within the family.
yeah.
Okay. Okay, there's been a few, no more questions over here? Okay. You can summarize your comments if you like. You have a few moments to do that, or if you're fine, we're gonna go ahead and close the public hearing.
Thank you for taking the time, and I'm a nervous wreck, so I apologize.
You're
It's
in
my
good
first
shape.
time. Thank
Good
you.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and close the public hearing. Any discussion on the case from within the commissioners? Okay, seeing none, we're ready for a motion, and this is gonna be a recommendation to city council. Gonna keep the streak alive, or we're gonna have someone else?
I think someone else should
Someone else, yeah.
practice.
Yep, Don't make- don't
I'll
make me
take a
pick.
stab at this one. Move to recommend city council approve BLC 26000044 and REZ 2600000024 for the property located at 1206 Holmes Avenue in the Ybor City Historic District for a rezoning change from YC8 to YC2
and I just say it's consistent
and
with,
because it is consistent with the consistent with the City of Tampa Code of Ordinances, Section 2795A, paren 2, paren H, per plans dated December 3rd, 2025.
I second the motion.
okay. No conditions, so we can take a straight up vote. All in favor of said recommendation of city council, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you for your application today, and we wish you all the best on this project. We have some,
Do I have a motion to receive all documents presented by
think we should.
staff
I think we
earlier in
should.
the
He's
meeting?
getting there, he's getting there.
I'm
all in
like,
favor, all in favor of said motion, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Just a quick query of the board. Are there any topics of things coming up in the district that you guys want some additional background information, or anything that you feel staff needs to do a presentation to the current commissioners to keep us up to date on current happenings?
there are a few, but I don't think they're official yet, so.
Okay. All right. Well, I think parking's not always an issue, and some other things, but
I
yes,
think
yes.
progress on the Gasworks project would be interesting to see.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, they're going.
That's not a bad idea, like an update on where they are and what the next phase is gonna hold.
Parking trans, okay, good information. Seeing no other business in front of us, we are adjourned. Thank you for your time, everyone.